Hello there, people of the internet. I recently watched a video from TFB TV, and he was talking about, like, if you had $500 and you wanted to get yourself a gun collection, what you could do to get that gun collection for $500. Now, he had certain rules and criteria that he was going to go for, but I wanted to go ahead and make myself a video talking about things that I probably would have done with that $500 if I only had $500 to get my guns. So this is, if you have $500 and you want to make yourself a gun collection, these are the guns that I would probably pick. First, this right here is a pretty obvious one if you're in the military surplus collecting community. Most of these are going to be military surplus, but not all of them. If you're in the collecting community, then you've probably at least eyeballed one of these at some point. This is a Carcano, however it is you feel like pronouncing that. I'm sure your way is correcting everyone else is wrong. This particular one is a 6.5 model, and it's got that little bayonet attached on the bottom. I own probably half a dozen of these, and every single one of those I bought for $100. Technically $99, but we'll just even it out at $100. So we got ourselves a 6-shot bolt-action rifle, full power cartridge. It's about on par with the power of 7.62x39, so it's not a full power cartridge, but it's not an intermediate cartridge either. It's kind of one of those ballparks where it's a gray area. The main reason why I say full power rifle cartridge and not an intermediate cartridge, although the power is on par with something like 7.62x39, it fires significantly heavier bullets. I think that these right here can fire up to 220 grain bullets, but they're just not going to be moving very quickly. Unlike something like that 7.62x39, which fires 123 grain bullets. As a matter of fact, I might make a video about exactly that. But first gun, 6.5 Carcano. You can get these all day, every day for about $100. I'm sure somebody's going to ask, what website? Well, there's a couple of websites out there where if they go on flash sale, you can do it, by all means. However, if you want to get yourself a good deal on a rifle, especially an old school gun like this that is no longer produced, there's not a whole lot of commercial options out there for you. You're going to have to go to auctions, you're going to have to do the work to go to pawn shops, gun stores, see what they have in stock, you know, find someone who will privately sell you this rifle, etc., etc. You're going to have to hunt these down because they're not made, and it's not like a Glock, where Glock manufactures them, sends them to dealers, etc., etc. These just pop up, and that's what you get. In the case of the Carcano, they're currently being surplus. There are some companies that are importing them. Some of them do have flash sales, but for the most part, if you want to get one of these at that $100 price point, you're going to have to do a little bit of digging. But I did. There were a couple of importers, 2 or 3 years ago, whenever these were freshly being brought into the country, that were selling these for $100, and I stocked up on them. So that is your $100 rifle. Okay, no collection is complete without a 22 long rifle. These right here are just so useful in so many different applications, and they're inexpensive, and the ammo is inexpensive, and it's just one of the better options that are out there. So 22 long rifle, this particular one is a Savage Model 64, and these you can buy like literally brand new for $100, even cheaper than that if you want to go for the used market. But yeah, $100 will get you a 22 long rifle. This is very reminiscent of the Ruger 10/22 magazine fed, straight blowback, 22 long rifle. There are a ton of different models out there for this particular style of rifle, but I do know that the Savage Model 64 and all those other 62/64 models, I can't quite remember the brands off the top of my head. I do know that all of those other models do tend to run about this price point, but I have this one, I bought this one, so this is the example that I am using. If you are even a little bit familiar with this, the Ruger 10/22 or say Marlin Model 60 or something like that, then you should have absolutely no problems figuring out how to use one of these. So $100 22 long rifle, we're at $200 now so far. Okay, up next we got ourselves a Steyr M95. I own like 4 of these, I believe. Could be 3, could be 4. Can't quite remember off the top of my head. But these right here are also ones that were recently imported, and they are incredibly cheap to get your hands on. As a matter of fact, all the Steyr M95s I had, I got for $100, watching for flash sales or watching for auctions or etc., paying attention to see where these might pop up. And now I'm a proud owner of 3 of them. These are chambered in the original 8x50 Steyr, not the newer 8x56. I'm sure a lot of people are going to complain about a lack of ammo availability. Well, guess what? 7.62x54R can be fired through these rifles, and if you do that, after firing that 7.62x54R, you have yourself a fire-formed 8x50 case that you can go ahead and load up to proper specifications. Now, the bullet of 7.62x54R is smaller, so you are going to have issues with accuracy from these rifles if you do decide to go that route, but it can be done. So this right here is an 8mm full power rifle that you can get for that $100 price point. If you don't mind fiddling with the ammo a little bit, then this right here is a really good option. It's a really good piece to have inside of a collection. Alright, up next, we have ourselves a shotgun. You cannot go wrong with a shotgun inside of your collection, and if you only got $500 and you're setting yourself up for the rest of your life, you're going to want one. I went with a single-shot shotgun just because these right here are extremely inexpensive. This particular one I got off of the used market, and I picked it up for $50. It came out to like $70 after shipping and whatnot. But we're going to go ahead and just call it the $50 price point because that's typically what something like this would run. You could go out and get yourself a brand new one for, say, $100 or so. There's plenty of them out there that are around that price point. But if you want to do a little bit of looking around, find yourself a used one, look at pawn shops, auctions, online, etc., then you can pick them up for incredibly cheap. So $50 12-gauge shotgun, even though it is a single shot and not a pump action or anything like that, there's a lot of versatility with these, and it's a really, really, really good idea to have yourself some kind of shotgun in your arsenal. I don't care if you go 12-gauge, 20-gauge, 16-gauge, 28-gauge, 410, whatever your preference is. This particular one is a 12-gauge. These right here, you can get the little adapters that go inside of it to where you can fire all sorts of different cartridges out of it as well. It's a really, really versatile firearm, and that's one of the reasons why I had it chosen. So far we're at $350. Let me go ahead and grab something else for you. Alright, this one right here is more like a classification of firearm. If you find yourself a military surplus gun that has been sporterized, you're probably going to get it for significantly cheaper than if it was not sporterized. As a matter of fact, this one right here, I just won like a week ago as of making this video in 2024. I won it for $150 at an auction because it was sporterized and not a whole lot of people were interested in it. So this right here is a $150 full power bolt action rifle. This one is an SMLE that has been sporterized. I could unsporterize it if I felt like it. This particular one is a 1916 produced SMLE #1 Mark III Star. We have all of the goodies. We got the 10-shot external magazine that could be removed if you felt like it. We got the general style that the #1 Mark III would have, leaf sight. We do not have the nose cap that the #1 Mark III is so well known for, but that's because this is a sporter rifle. This is extremely lightweight, and it is definitely one of my better buys for $150. So if you want to go out and hunt yourself down a cheapo sporter rifle, which you could absolutely do even in 2024 if you just look around a little bit, then with that with that $150, you could go out and get yourself a pretty gosh darn nice gun. Now, it might be an Enfield, might be a Mosin, might be a Mauser, might be insert your choice of firearm here. This particular one is chambered in .303, but the options for the sporterized milsurps that are out there, there's a lot of them, like a lot of them. More commonly, they're going to be 7 or 8mm Mauser. You might find an 1891 that is sporterized for about that price point. They're going to be Enfields. They're like, you're just not gonna be able to really standardize this category because of how many different options that are out there. So consider this right here more like a representation. If you get yourself a sporterized milsurp, you might be able to unsporterize it later if you just so happen to have the money. and can manage to source the parts. If not, then this right here is a perfectly usable rifle. It will absolutely go bang. It will absolutely hit its target. It shoots .303 British, so the ammunition can still be found. It's not exactly as, what's the word I'm looking for, as common as it used to be, but it absolutely can still be found. It's like $1 a round. Well, it's about on par with the cost of 30-06 nowadays, I guess, and people are still saying 30-06 is reasonably priced. So .303 British, according to them, also reasonably priced. So this is my list of guns that you can pick up for $500 to have yourself a little arsenal. Let's go ahead and lay them out on the table real quick. Alright, there it is. There is my $500 collection of guns. And I tell you what, that is a pretty solid setup right there. Especially me being a hand loader. I load my own 6.5 Carcano. Granted, I load them with 2.64 bullets. And I load my own 8x50 Steyr, just because 7.62x54 rimmed brass is extremely available here in the United States. You can get it no problem, fire form it inside of these rifles, and then you'll have usable cartridges or usable brass cases that you can use to make cartridges. .303 British, I don't think I've ever really played around with .303 British loads. Normally I like kind of try to make my own loadings for rifles, but I think the only .303 British I've ever loaded was either black powder .303 or like right exact to spec .303. So maybe I'll do a little bit of customization with the loads for this rifle, and we'll see what we can do. But here you go, 500 bucks. I got myself a pile of guns right here. That is a solid little collection, definitely more of a collection than a lot of people have. So, thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below is a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.